Hello and welcome into this week's edition of the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series Rewind Show right here on Racing News Now. As always, I'm your host, Garth Allen. Thank you once again for joining me today. If this is your first time catching a Racing News Now video, consider going down below, hitting that subscribe button, and ringing the bell for notifications. This is a channel where we discuss lots of motorsports, namely NASCAR, ARCA, IndyCar, and Formula One. We do plan to broaden that scope eventually, but for now, that's what we cover. So in today's edition of the Trucks Rewind, we're looking back at last night's 10th annual Overton's 225 from the 1.5-mile Chicagoland Speedway in Joliet, Illinois. 150 laps, 225 miles. And it was a doozy of a race. 6 cautions for 29 laps. Only caution in Stage 1 was lap 23 when Bo LeMastus spun off of turn 4 and onto pit road. That would be your first caution of the night, and then the next one would be the Stage 1 conclusion at lap 37. Your Stage 1 winner was John Hunter Nemechek. Stage 2, lap 53, we had a caution for Ross Chastain's incident in turn number 4, as well as lap 61. 25 of Dalton Sargent and the 52 of Stuart Friesen got together in turn number 2 to bring out the caution, and that was really the beginning of the end for Dalton Sargent's night. He had such a good night going, led a lot of the race early, but unfortunately, that would be really the end of the competitive night for him. He led 24 laps early on in this one. Stage 2 ended lap 72. Your Stage 2 winner was Noah Gragson in that 18 truck. And your final caution of the night, the only one in Stage number 3, lap 122 of 150, Jordan Anderson and Stuart Friesen getting together in turn number 2. That was your second incident on the night for Stuart Friesen. Not a great night for him. 17 lead changes among 6 drivers in this race. John Hunter Nemechek led the most laps in this one, 64 laps. He definitely, I think, had the best truck on the night. Noah Gragson very close to him, though, with 42 laps led. As we already mentioned, Dalton Sargent led 24 laps early. Brett Moffitt even led 17 laps later in the race, as well as 2 laps led by Corbin Forrester and 1 lap for Jennifer Jo Cobb. Alright, so let's get into the results on the night. And Brett Moffitt ends up sneaking out the victory at the end. John Hunter Nemechek led at the white flag, and he blows his engine on the final lap and loses the race on the final lap because of a blown engine. I mean, how heartbreaking is that? But we got a really great story out of it, though, with Brett Moffitt winning the race. Brett Moffitt wasn't even sure he was going to be in Chicagoland because that team has really been struggling to get sponsorship this year, which is incredible to me because this is now a team that has 3 wins on the season and is a legitimate championship contender, and they weren't even 100% sure they would be in Chicagoland. So kudos to FreightAuctions.com for sponsoring Brett Moffitt in this race and allowing them to put that 16 truck on track in Chicago. And hopefully they will be able to run the remainder of the season. I haven't heard anything either way on that. I don't know what the sponsorship situation is for them at the moment going forward. But this definitely doesn't hurt. I mean, they have the second most amount of wins so far this season with 3. Johnny Sauter's the only other driver with more than 1 win on the season. They're only 1 away from tying him. This is a legitimate championship contending team, and I am really excited to watch Brett Moffitt going down the stretch. Hopefully, he is able to compete in every race going forward. Ben Rhodes came home in the second position for his best finish in a while. Nice to see him turning some things around here. Johnny Sauter, as we mentioned, coming home in the third position. Rest of your top 5 KBM teammates, Noah Gragson and Brandon Jones in the 51-car truck this week. Rest of your top 10, Justin Haley, John Hunter Nemechek, Grant Enfinger, Austin Hill, and Myatt Snyder rounded out the top 10 as the first truck one lap down. I don't know why I keep saying car tonight, but we'll roll with it. 11th through 20th, Matt Crafton down here. A somewhat disappointing night for Matt Crafton. Just kind of been the story of the season for Matt Crafton. Hasn't really competed for wins much this year and has really been down there bottom half of the top 10, top 15 most of the season so far this year. So interesting to see, because we really haven't seen this kind of performance out of Matt Crafton in a while. Bo Lamastus there, we mentioned him being the first caution of the night. He ends up in the 15th position. A very off night for Todd Gilliland. Did finish 8th at the end of both stages, but comes home in the 16th position. Stuart Friesen, after his 2 incidents, ends up 2 laps down in the 19th position. Had a really good truck too, so that's really disappointing. And this kind of has been the story of the season for Stuart Friesen as well. Has a really good truck, and then for one reason or another doesn't always get the finish that he necessarily deserved. 3rd in the first stage, 4th in the second stage for Stuart Friesen. So that kind of tells you he had a top 5 truck on the night, and unfortunately just wasn't able to pan out for him. And then we see Dalton Sargent down here in the 20th position. Definitely not the night he was looking for, especially after being as fast as he was early on. Like we said, led 24 laps and ended up 4th in that first stage. 21st through 30th, we see Max Tolman here in 23rd. We've seen him a few times on the ARCA Rewind show, as he's run the 78 car for Mason Mitchell Motorsports a few times this season. Made his truck debut last night in that 20 truck for Young's Motorsports. I'll get this right eventually. 23rd on the night for Max Tolman, 4 laps down. Joe Nemechek there in the 28th position. And then down here, 31st and 32nd, Norm Benning and Mike Harmon. So that's your results from the Overton's 225. Now let's head over to the Media Center. We'll see what your top 3, Johnny Sauter, Ben Rhodes, and Brett Moffitt, had to say after this one.
Well, I drank a 12-pack of Bud Light last night, so I was feeling primed and ready to go. Went to bed at about 2 o'clock. No, I'm just kidding. I did go to bed at 2 o'clock, but I didn't drink that much. But, you know, I guess I'm just used to it. Obviously, you know, just drink enough water. And as I've been getting a little older, they try to get me to drink some Pedialyte. So I had 1 glass of that today, but I'm not a fan of it. So it's just, yeah, it's hot, and you're going to sweat. You know you're going to sweat, so you just got to pace yourself. I see guys drinking all the time. Our pit crew guys are, you know, big, tough guys, and I'm like, any of you guys drink Pedialyte? They're like, oh, yeah, we love it. And I'm like, all right, I'll try some. So there you go.
Yeah, that was a little up and down. This track has changed so much since last year. It's really lost a lot more grip, and it's become a lot bumpier, more difficult to pass. And then with the new splitter rule, it's made it a little bit more difficult as well. So it was an up and down race for us. We made a bad move in the beginning. The track went through this major swing. I actually almost thought I had a tire going down, because I'd never seen a track go through such a swing from, you know, sunshine on the track to dark. And supposed to be gaining grip, but it just got really, really loose and then finally tightened back up. So I don't know if that was, you know, just the track, the age on the track, or what it was, but it was definitely new to me. So we got ourselves a little behind, making an adjustment a little prematurely, I think. But we righted the ship. We came back from it. It's just good to finally have a good finish, because we've been having probably the world's worst luck here lately. I thought I was going to get struck by lightning when thunderstorms started rolling through Louisville, Kentucky. Luckily, I didn't. But now it seems like things are finally just starting to go our way a little bit. It's very rewarding, because our guys have been working so hard at ThorSport Racing, 70, 80 hours a week, just, you know, 7 in the morning to 8, 9 at night at times. And, you know, I know it's rewarding for them. Our new pit crew we have on board, it's rewarding for them. And Ford, they've been helping us out a lot through these issues we've had and trying to figure out what's been going on. And very thankful for that, to help, you know, have their support to write our program.
Nothing's gonna top Iowa. It was being Father's Day weekend, having my father there, and but this is awesome. You know, from not knowing if we were even gonna come here Tuesday to sitting in victory lane and being able to deliver Freight Auctions their first win, and just I mean the support we have and the determination we have, and Scott and all the guys and everything TRD and Toyota and Mark Conquest and JGR Engines. You know, we're the lone wolf on the engine deal, and they really tried to screw with us on restarts tonight, and it got me a little hot. But it is what it is, and we're the ones in victory lane. I believe we're good for next week, Kentucky. And then I know we still have Bristol, Eldora, and Homestead open. So it's more in Shiggy's department, but we're working hard at it, and we appreciate all the support that everyone's given us through the media and through social media. And I believe it's because of you guys that something pulled together. So it all means a lot to us.
All right, so let's take a look at your point standings on the playoff grid following this race before wrapping up tonight. And as you can see here, the only position change this week being Stuart Friesen jumping back up to that 5th position above Grant Enfinger, the first guy in on points. But he's only 1 point above Grant Enfinger, so really a tight battle there for the top guy in on points. And I don't know that that battle will necessarily stay until playoff time, because I feel like one of those two, if not both, will pick up a win before the playoffs. So very tight battle there at the moment, though. And really a tight battle between all of these guys that are in on points, as Matt Crafton there only 11 points behind Grant Enfinger, and Ben Rhodes down here only 7 points behind Matt Crafton. But then we have a really defined cut line right now. This is a very defined cut line, 42 points. I mean, that's basically a full race now at the cut line. So these guys outside the playoffs at the moment are going to have a very hard time going forward, I think, pointing their way in, unless one or more of these guys that are in on points at the moment starts having a real long string of bad luck. I really think that's the only way that these guys outside the top 8 are going to point their way in, unless one of them picks up a win. So that will be interesting to see going forward, because if Myatt Snyder, Cody Coughlin, Dalton Sargent, Todd Gilliland, if any of these guys pick up a win, then we've got a completely different playoff grid as we head closer to the playoffs. So that'll be very interesting to watch. So that is your playoff grid following the Overton's 225, and I believe that will do it for us tonight here on the Truck Series Rewind show. If you haven't done it already, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell for notifications, because we have a lot coming up here on the channel for the rest of the weekend. If you missed it, we do have an ARCA Rewind show that went up yesterday, recapping Thursday night's Scott 150 from Chicagoland, so go check that out. We'll have an Xfinity Series Rewind going up sometime later this evening after that race concludes in a bit here this afternoon. And we will have a Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series Rewind go up Sunday evening as well as a winner interview by itself with Michael Self, who won Thursday night's ARCA race in Chicagoland. We weren't able to get our schedules to line up to get him actually on the Rewind show, but we did get an interview secured with him, so that will go up sometime Sunday evening as well, somewhere there around the Cup Rewind show, so you want to check that out. As well as pole position coming up on Monday night as usual, 8 p.m. to recap everything from Chicagoland as well as F1 from Austria. So we've got a lot coming up for you, so if you haven't done it already, you definitely need to hit that subscribe button. And if you like the video, hit that big thumbs up button. It's much appreciated when you do. So at that, this has been the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series Rewind Show. I'm Garth Allen for Racing News Now.